So hello everyone, and in this video I'm going to show how to create this image trail effect. And obviously you could add anything else in here. Maybe you want to add some sparkle stuff that follows you, or anything that you want, any other videos, or maybe a text, anything that you want. It doesn't have to be image. And you see how cool this effect looks. And one more thing that I've added, which is optional, which is if I go outside, you could see it does not follow. Basically it does follow, but it is completely invisible. So if I go up, you could see it's invisible, but if I come in like this, it starts following me from wherever you left. Okay, so you could see. So I'll give you both options. One would be where it would follow you through your whole site, and one when it always only follows from, let's say, particular section like this. Pretty easy to do, so let's get started. So first thing first, I just created a container with 100% height. It is optional, but I still want to show about it. Inside of this, we'll add our images, but if you want to add your container, maybe you want to have some different type of stuff, or maybe you want to mix and match, maybe not all images, but maybe some text editor button, or like your random stuff. Okay, for this video, I'm just using an image, but again, like I said, you could do anything that you want. I'm going to make it pixels. This is all based on how you want to design it. Okay, so for me, I'm just doing some specific design, but again, like I said, it's completely up to you how you want to design it. So you could see I just added an image. Now in here, I'm simply just going to give it a CSS class called DMimgTrail, and for this video I'm going to type TUT. You don't need to type it TUT because the code below has DMimgTrail, but because I already have this added in here, it will kind of mess it up. So that's why I'm just adding TUT at the end around here. Hey guys, if you want to start earning from Elementor affiliate, use the link below to register. You can share your affiliate links with your clients or audience and earn small commission when they buy Elementor products with no extra cost from the buyer. Now I can simply just duplicate this by doing Ctrl D like few more times, maybe 5 times. And I got this effects ready. Now I just need to change the images. If you were using some different stuff, maybe images, containers, or mix and matching, then make sure all of them have this CSS class DMimgTrail. If you were using something like, some specific height, it's good to add some cover or something. I forgot to do that, so I'm just going to do it quickly for each one of them. Now this container, I am going to call it DMimgTrail wrapper, and I'm just going to type TUT. You don't need to type TUT, but this would basically be needed if you are trying to make it invisible when it goes outside this container. So I just added a background color. Now at the end of everything, I'm going to add an HTML widget, and this HTML widget would contain our code. So this code would be in description, and I want to explain how this works, but for now let's just copy paste it and see if it works. One more thing, I will have to add TUT in here, but you don't need to do this because again, if you use this CSS class, where if you add TUT at the end, then you will need to do the changes for all the classes. But if you are just copy pasting it from the blog page that I've written below, then you don't need to do this. So this whole code would be in description. And we are using GSAP, so this is just an initializing. If you have used it already, you don't need to do this, but again, if you keep it around here, then it's still not going to mess up. Let's just copy and paste it in our container like this, and suddenly everything just disappeared. So let's just see how this works. And you could see it works. I had some mistakes that I fixed, but you don't need to do this if you are just going to copy it. And you could see if I go outside, it basically hides it like this. And obviously this container is above this one, which is why it's actually being hidden like this. But if you want it to be above this container, then you will need to make the wrapper have like some high Z index, and that way it would basically be above this one. So if you can see, it goes above this one now. Now some more controls if you want to do, that is this tagger 0.1 seconds. Basically, if you make this to be higher, then it would be that much of a difference between each image. So if you make this, let's say 0.2, then each image would be much more further. And if you make it lower, less than 0.1, then it would be a lot closer. And also you could see that the images follow at the top left corner. You could see it follows top left corner. So if you go into the code, and then maybe in the code, if you go into this DM trail, you could simply just type one more thing, which is translate, and do maybe like -50%, -50%, like this. In the code, I'll just add it like this, 0, 0, so that there's no changes, so that if you decide to do it, then you could just type -50 like this, and let's just copy paste. This would basically make it follow from the center, you could see. And the reason why that this works is that we move it left 50% and then up 50%. So obviously you could just try with doing 0 at one location. So maybe if you don't want to move it left, but only you want to move it around like this center, then you could just turn this to 0, like -50, 0. Then it would be at the top of this image. If you turn this to 0 and then turn this to -50, then it would basically be left, will follow from the left of this image. But ideally 0, 0 works better, because probably you want the people to click on something, right? So just keep it 0, 0, works nicely. Then on the top we have transition. Basically this is how long it should take for the opacity, which is, if I go outside, it takes 0.3 seconds to disappear. So if you want, you could make it lower so that it disappears like quickly. Maybe make it 0 and it would be instant. It doesn't look good, but you could make it, let's say 0.1, 0.2 or something, and it would basically make it be like that. Also, you could see they do pop up like way too quickly, like they don't fade in. So if you want it to fade in, you might need to type and like this one around here. Okay, so this one is basically when it needs to fade in. You could see hover effect, because when we are hovering on this one, it would take fade in, and this one would be fade out. So you could see they do fade in, but I just made it 5 seconds just to show you guys that it does work when it goes in. Going outside is quicker, but going in is slower, because I made it like 5 seconds. So let's just keep it 0.3. Now what if you want it to be working on the whole page and not just, you know, on this section? Maybe you are creating something that requires like a trail, like stars, or maybe you are making solar system stuff or website, and then it basically has like some planets following your mouse always. So how we can do that? So it is pretty easy to do if you want it to work everywhere, and that is basically remove this line, because what this line does is that it only makes it you know, follow if it's inside that container. Let me just do it this way first. Let's just remove this effect, which is like turning the opacity to 1 and 1 to 0. So let's just remove these first two lines. This one would basically make it that it is always visible. So let's see how this looks. So you could see it is always visible, but if I go outside, it stops there. You could see. So instead, what you could do is you could remove this complete section, if, and then add this, remove this bracket, because it's a part of, you know, this bracket and this bracket. So I'll remove these two brackets like this, and then turn the wrapper into document. Basically it will say that check for the whole document. Now if I copy and paste this, I also should remove the opacity to show you guys. You could see that it works wherever I go. Like if I go to this whole page, it works, no issues. If I go up, it follows me like this. If I do turn it into absolute like this, let's say if I turn this to absolute, so you could see it works. But if I go down, it just stops, but it still kind of works because I'm going down. It is trying to go outside this container, but it's not. This one is like completely different. This is older version. Okay. So you could see that it is following, but it stops like this, but the animation still works. You could see the animation is still working. So obviously you could also add this effect, which is opacity for position absolute, so that it only works in here, and then it kind of still glides around here like this. So there's like a lot more cool stuff that you could do, but the basic stuff is usually this code that I've made, which is position fixed, and then when it goes inside, show it, when it goes outside, don't show it. Okay, that's like the basic one. But like I said, if you want it to work on the whole page, remove this first two lines. This controls the opacity stuff, and remove and turn this into document, and remove the if part. Okay, so pretty easy to do, pretty quick to do. And yeah, that's all for this video. Hope you liked it. Simple effect, and thanks for watching. Goodbye.